Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. Also live stream all of my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so in today's video we're going to have a quick look at CPU prices because let's just say things have been a little bit interesting on that front, at least in Australia over the last few months. So historically what you would always think is that AMD and Ryzen has better price to performance, so you get better bang for your buck, more performance at a cheaper price. But that's actually not the situation anymore. So today is Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021. And I just wanted to run you through one of the major retailers in Australia that sells computer parts. So I just want to run you through their available CPUs and just have a look at the price to performance versus Ryzen and Intel chips. So let's have a look at it. So I'll just make the screen a bit bigger and you can see. Alrighty. So looking at this first line here, we can see there's not really too much available in the low end there. We've got an i3 10100F, cheaper than a Ryzen 3 2200G. Both of these CPUs have onboard graphics, just one is significantly faster than the other. Moving over here, we've got an old school first generation Ryzen 1600 and an i5 9400F at roughly the same price. So I know which one I'd pick out of those two. So let's have a look at their single core performance. So I'm just over here, we're just going to use CPU Z benchmarks here. It's just one benchmark, but it's an easy comparison that we can make quickly here today. Let's have a look at the 9400F. So 9400F there scores around 460 for the single thread there. So let's have a look at 1600. Okay, so we got the 1600 there coming in at 415, so that's the 1600X, I should say, or the straight 1600 coming in at 390. So significantly worse performance there for your dollars. That's just one example there. So if we move down to the next line here, we've got an i5 10400F, which is only a 1-year-old CPU, 6 cores, 12 threads, going up against a 3-year-old Ryzen 2600, 6 core, 12 threads. And so if we were to have a look at 6 core, 12 thread processors, let's have a look. 10400F. Okay, so the 10400F come in there at 3584. Let's have a look at the 2600. So once again, where are we? The 2600 at 30. Yeah, so just under the 10400F in multi-core performance, just pretty much on par if you go with the 2600X. But the difference is, if we can compare those CPUs at single thread, they might not be on this list, but we can have a look. Because no, it's not. No, 10400's not on there. But you'll have to take my word for it, the 10400 is significantly stronger single thread compared to a 2600. So 2600, yeah, coming in at 425, 448 for the 2600X. If we move down, this is where it really starts to get interesting though. So have a look at this. We've got a Ryzen 3600, 6 core 12 thread, and an i5 10600KF, 6 core 12 thread. So if we have a look at these two CPUs, so let's have a look. Doesn't have the 10600 there for single thread. That's a bit of a pain that it doesn't have that there for single thread. But we can have a look at multis. It'll be there for multis. Just look at multi-core and you just, yeah, you can assume that the 10600K is a much faster single thread score. So we've got the 10600. Oh, it's not on. Oh, hang on, I'm in 16 threads. Duh. So there we've got the i5 10600KF, top of the list there for 6-core 12 threads. I've got a 9900K, so don't worry about that result. It's not a fair comparison here. And if we were to compare that to the 3600, you can see that you're getting less performance there. Just under 10% difference between a normal 3600 and the 10600KF. Both these chips are unlocked and overclockable, and the lead between these two in single core gets a little bit greater as a percentage if you are looking at the single threaded scores for these chips. And moving on down, we've got an i7 10700F, roughly the same price as a Ryzen 3600X, and cheaper than a Ryzen 3600 XT. So we're comparing 8-core 16-thread Intel CPUs with 6-core 12-thread AMD CPUs. So I'm not going to show you the benchmarks and everything for each one of these chips. If you're interested, you can look this up, and other channels on YouTube cover this in a lot of detail. They put a lot of time and effort into breaking this all down and putting together graphs and stuff. This video here is just a quick deep dive into all this kind of stuff. So moving on down here, we've got all the Intel chips on this line. So for $449, we could have a 10700KF, or for $489, we could have a Ryzen 7 3700X. So let's have a quick look at these two in comparison. So we're on to 16 threads now. So let's have a look at, okay, I can see 10700KF. So coming in there, 5661, and if we were to have a look where the 3700X sits, coming in down here. So as you can see there, what's that? That's not too big a difference. What's that? Maybe 5% or so difference there, but you're getting 5% less performance for an extra $40. Doesn't that sound like what you'd kind of get from Intel in the past? And it just gets sort of worse as we come down. So now we're on to i9s, and we're comparing an i9 9900KF, $50 cheaper than a Ryzen 3800 XT. And so the 10900K is on par with a Ryzen 9 3900X, and is just below a Ryzen 5800X, which is fair. I definitely wouldn't pay any more for a 10900K, especially if I was a gamer, than the 5800X. If I was a gamer, I'd be going for this 100% of the time. If I wanted to game well and wanted the bit of multi-core action, I'd go for this one here as well. But I mean, either one of these, if you pick them for gaming, you're gonna have a good time. And realistically, this is the situation all across the country at all the retailers, probably all across the world, but I'm just not looking at those markets this close. And what we can see is that Intel, the price cuts that we're seeing now, which will probably continue, and the massive demand that we're seeing for AMD chips has pushed up the price of AMD. It's driven Intel prices down, and now it is essentially a case of Intel represents the best price performance for CPUs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.